Next, we have our special guest, Damien Browning. Damien Browning is the founder and the current director of Steps to Recovery Home. Now, Steps to Recovery is based in Cottonwood, Arizona, and they run a men's sober house and a women's sober house. And Damien has a fantastic story. I think you can hear him already coughing. Damien has a fantastic story about how he started the charity. He started it on credit cards, and what they're able to do today, and what the challenges are, and what the opportunities are in sober living, in recovery. So, Damien.
Yeah.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being on.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the story behind how you got involved in recovery, for yourself and with helping other people, and then how you started Steps to Recovery.
Okay. Well, Rick, I've been, had a kind of rough childhood. Started reaching out for attention and approval outside of myself when I was real young, and I ended up in active addiction for 19 years. And I got in a bad traffic accident in 2001 where somebody was killed. I was going over the speed limit, and I actually I was going to court for that, and then I got arrested. I started using even more heavily over that, and I got arrested. The last time I had 11 felonies, and they kind of run them all together, and I ended up doing 5 years in prison. And that time gave me some time to think, and I really wanted to change my life. So when I got out of prison in 2008, I just started in a recovery process to figure out, what was going on with me and why I did the things I did, and to try to stay clean. Because getting clean and staying clean for me are two different things. I have to do some work to figure out why I use, because it's not about it's not about what we use. It's about why do we use. So that led me on a process to, extensive self evaluation and recovery. And I met my wife, current wife, and we started talking about, how we could help more people and why people relapsed a lot. And, one of the things we've seen in our community was there wasn't a lot of tools that they were given. There wasn't a lot of, how do I stay clean? How do I live in society? How do I do these things? So we started a program that was based after our own recovery. And in order to do that, we just took 3 credit cards and we just went for it. And in August, that'll be 6 years. And, it's just blown up since then,
I really appreciate how frank you are about your past and your experiences, Damien. Now, what about your recovery in particular? You said, based on your own recovery, what was it about that you modeled for Steps to Recovery?
Well, really looking at the whole, all the variables. So like, looking at, being able to prioritize things, being able to set boundaries, being able to be a productive member of my family, like be a good parent, be mindful around people, change my behaviors, my outlook, my perception, my attitude, the way I talk, my language. There's just so many variables that go into it, and being able to really look at it and say, okay, is this who I really want to be? Now, and then when we formed the program, we started life coaching every day, and we would talk about those things. We have an hour live coaching session that they go to, and we talk about priorities, goal setting, addiction, insanity, all these other things, boundaries, all these things, meditation that go into, all these variables of why we stay locked in the self-destructive pattern. Gotcha. And another thing, we did was like, just being accountable. One of the things is I was on intense probation and parole when I got out, and they had a weekly schedule that I had to fill out. So we have them do a weekly schedule. My wife and I's recovery is pretty much based on 12-step recovery. So we have them go to 12-step meetings, and they have to get a sponsor, and they have to work the steps, and they have to get involved in the program. They have to be of service. And that was another thing, is community service. So every week they have to do service to the community, and that gets them, that does a few things. That gets them to start feeling good about themselves because they're helping other people, and it gets them to start reaching out to people that aren't in addiction. people that are helping other people. And it opens I know for me, when I was in active addiction, all I talked to was other people that are in addiction. So being able to get them involved with other people that aren't in addiction is a very helpful thing.
Got it. So we kind of jumped into what services you guys provide. Now, just to recap, so you talked about, was it daily life coaching you said, or weekly?
Yeah.
Daily
No, we have
coaching
daily life coaching sessions.
and daily Alcoholics Anonymous meetings, or
Well,
12-step type meetings.
12-step type meetings.
Okay.
We go to a different few, but yeah, we take them to 12-step type meetings. There's events on the weekends. We take them camping like 3 times a year. Once a month we go kayaking. Once a month we go segwaying in Sedona. Once a month we do out of Africa. There's yoga, and then we have some other things we offer. Is like we give them 98% of our people come in with no money. So we have a job development program for the first 2 to 8 weeks. If they want, they can buy into a job development program to where they work 17 hours a week for us, so they don't get like overwhelmed with their payment, and that pays for them. And then when they're not working, we help them build resumes. We help them do mock interviews. We help them get ready for, to find a career that they want to be in.
Right.
So we give them bus passes, discounted gym memberships.
Right? Huh? So go back a step and talk about the housing that you provide and how many people you have and whatnot.
Well, we have a women's house that holds 9 women. Right now we only have 3. We're kind of, we have a lot of openings. We don't know. The summer months are a little harder, I don't know. I think sometimes women have a little bit more options, like staying on people's couches or whatever. It's a little bit harder for them, but and our men's house provides 9, but we just bought a bigger facility that's going to hold 14. I have 9 men in my house right now, so it's full, but I have options because I'm getting ready. Actually, we already got the house. The USDA actually loaned us money to buy a 4-plex for our men. So I'm remodeling it right now, and I'm getting ready to move the men over there. So I'm going to have about 5 extra beds for men's too.
Got it. So part of their stay is typically free, or you sort of do a work exchange so that they can cover that payment. And what is the payment once they are able to pay?
Well, the payment's $175 a week, but the work exchange program, if they want it, is only for 2 to 8 weeks. And we reach out to organizations and try to get grant funding for that. Northern Arizona Healthcare Foundation actually gave us a grant to be able to do that for this last year. So right now I'm in the middle of writing grants to try to keep that program going. We do have a resale store. One of our ideas was we started a resale store. So we have a resale store. We have a warehouse, so we're able to give them clothes. And that's another thing. When they move out, we actually give them furniture. We have a financial savings plan where you half their money. And if they graduate our program, I furnished 6 apartments last year from our graduates, which really helps it, because the transition period is hard too. So when they're able to put money in and save money, because it costs a lot of money. That's another issue, is like there's not a lot of housing. First of all, if you have a felony, you might not be able to, people might not even be willing to rent you.
Right.
And then it's like, okay, then you need first and last, and you need your utilities, and you need furniture, and it's a lot.
Cosigners, all that, right. So they've also got you guys got a warehouse and a restore. Got it. And so what do you think what's your assessment of how people are going about recovery, and especially when they're offering services?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, what do you think's needed rather in dealing with recovery and addiction right now in America?
Well, we need funding. I mean, sober living is a big, we're kind of in the middle. I call it a recovery home. It's really just a structured sober living, but there's no funding for it, and we've seen that, their addiction is the number 1 crisis in America. There's up to 190 people a day dying of an opioid overdose, but that's not even counting the alcohol related causes, meth overdoses, people getting locked up, neglecting their kids, losing their job. There's so much going on, so it's a huge problem. There's not a lot of people that have these problems don't have money. So, we've seen that there was really good treatment for you if you had, anywhere from 10 to 50 grand a month. And we wanted to make it to where we could help the people that fell through the cracks. So that's why we started a nonprofit. So we offer about $3,000 to $5,000 worth of services for $700 a month. Plus, the people that come in with no money, So that's why we come up with ideas to like put them to work and all these other things that we're putting in there because we're a nonprofit. We're getting people in the community and people to donate and help us out with those things. So I do a lot of fundraisers to do that. When it comes to how people are approaching recovery, I really think it's more of an example thing. One of the reasons our program, we have a 42% success rate. We have over 140 people in the community that are doing amazing. And I think that's because my wife and I, we treat them as family. You know, we've been there, so we know what they're going through. So it's an example-driven program. Like the things that we're having them do, we're doing. And it's also about focusing on why they use, like the behaviors and the attitudes and the perception. Those are huge. Those are huge keys when you're dealing with addiction. And because it's not really about the substance. I mean, you know, if they don't focus on the underlying issues, and the other thing is being a part of. So the support group, I think support groups are really, really helpful because otherwise you're in isolation. You know, they say addiction is separation and isolation. So what people with addiction do is they separate themselves from everybody. Like, oh, he doesn't understand me, or he doesn't care, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. Then they're isolated. You know, then they're by themselves, and that's when they use and they do all this self-destructive behavior.
Right. Now, tell us a little, you talked about funding. How is Steps to Recovery Home funded? Is it completely, you have the loan from the USDA coming in, but apart from that, is it completely privately funded?
Yeah, I mean, I do 2 fundraisers. I do a clean and sober concert a year. It's a free concert, and I get people like vendors and people to sponsor it. And, you know, last year we only raised $2,000. The year before it was $7,000. We do a Dinner for Hope, which is an annual fundraiser, which we raise about $9,000 a year on. Some people do tax credits here. There's the Arizona tax credit where we get about $14,000. We get businesses to sponsor us. That's how we're able to do the kayaking and all that. Those are in-kind sponsorships. And then, you know, the resale store helps a little bit. It mainly pays for our staff, though. But it does help because we're able to donate to the community, all the other nonprofits we donate to. We have people that come and their house burnt down, and we're able to help them. We give vouchers to people coming out of jail and out of prison that aren't even in our program. We help them with clothes. So, but yeah, it's all privately. It's all, you know, about fundraising. It's really hard. It's very difficult to stay operating and to have the resources and the staff I need. Our program's so amazing, and there's like other towns that want us to start our program that's based after what we have going on in our curriculum, but I can't do it. I'm still trying to get this one to sustain itself for this community. Then one of the visions is that we want to move forward to be statewide, and we want to start like a program for like women and children. We got a few visions going on. The USDA, they loaned us money. The only thing good about that is we're not going to be paying somebody else's rent. Right. But it's not like money they gave us. It's a loan, so it's still a struggle. You know, we are going for some federal grants. We haven't gotten any yet. I went for 5. I got turned down for all 5 federal grants. It would be different if we were state licensed. There's a lot of money that's getting pushed into the addiction community, but it's all for the places that are already state licensed, like the hospitals. It's all for these places that are already overwhelmed. So, you know, like the hospitals and stuff, that their emergency rooms are overwhelmed with people with addiction and mental health issues. They're getting more money in, but none of that money is going to like the sober living, which is an intricate part of the recovery plan. You know, the recovery plan is like detox, inpatient, sober living, transitional, and then moving on.
Well, we're trying to help people before they get to the hospital, right? That's the whole idea. We're trying to help people before they get to the hospital. That's the whole idea.
Well, and that's another thing. There's so many stigmas. Like July 20th, we're having a Erase the Stigma. It's our 4th annual Erase the Stigma Day, and it's an educational awareness day on addiction and mental health. So one of the stigmas is that people have to hit a bottom to get help with addiction. And that's not really true. Everybody comes to us as voluntary. You know, there is help out there, you know, and people don't have to, you know, but they need to feel that they're safe. They need to feel that they're going to a place that understands them. They need to feel that they're going to a place that can really help them.
Right. So we talk about the culture around that. Is there anything unique? You've been in this for years. Your recovery's been, you said 2001 that you went to prison in 2001, came out in 2006 and got clean then. Is that what you said?
Well, I went to prison in 2004 and I got clean in 2006 in prison after using. Yeah. So I'm coming up on 13 years. without any kind of mood or mind altering substance. So that's really a big thing for me.
Yeah. Is there anything that you see with those 13 years behind you that's unique in 2019 in approaching this?
Well, there's a lot of people scrambling because their kids everybody's dying. So there's a lot of people scrambling, but they don't really understand the addiction, So there's a lot of harm reduction stuff going on right now, which I think is a piece of it, but it's not the whole solution, And I think there's more. The stigma's going away because people are really getting aware that it has to be something that has to be faced. Our society is dependent on it. Our generations that are coming behind us are dependent on it. And it's getting worse and worse. And personally, I have some opinions, but I think technology is one of the things. Technology is good, but it's also been very bad for us in ways because we get addicted to it.
The separation that you talked about, that might be part of it.
Yeah, I believe so, because then we separate, and then what's real in my heart is that we're all connected. I'm a collaborator. I'm a community guy, so I think everybody's connected. So, and all that other stuff, that what society tells us is how much we make and how fast we can get something, and it's all about that. And that separates us from what's real.
It's a great point. Now,
at the end of the day, we don't take any of that with us, right?
Right. You can't take your iPhone with you.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Every year you get a new iPhone, and it's like, what the, how much waste is out there on that? How much dysfunction? You walk around town, or you go into everybody's on their phone. Even me, I got a big problem with it.
The phone owns you, right?
The phone owns me. I'm tired of it, man. Yeah.
Okay, I've got one more big question for you. So if someone wants to start something like Steps to Recovery Home, like you mentioned, there's tons of cities that see the demand for this, tons of places that have demand for this. What would be your advice to someone that wants to start something like this?
Really talk to somebody who has and see what's involved in it, because there's a lot. If you want to if you just want a place for people to go, that's a whole different story. But if you want to maximize the success rate, there's a lot that goes into it. So I would say reach out and do a pros and cons, and reach out to places like NAR. NAR is National Association of Recovery Residences, or we're under their umbrella in Arizona as ASRA, Arizona Recovery Housing Association, and they can mentor you and help you to actually put together a good program.
Got it. So go talk to someone who's done it. Talk to NAR. Talk to your state. How do you say that again? The Recovery Residency?
Yeah, well, NAR is the National Association of Recovery Residences.
Recovery Residences. Got it.
Yeah, or they can hit me up. I'll probably tell them not to do it. So I don't know. It's a need. It's a need, but you have to have a passion for it, and you have to be willing. You have to know what you're getting into. And the funding's an issue, because if I had more funding, I can get more staff, and it wouldn't be so hard. But resources are very thin, and they're throwing all this money at the addiction, but it's not leveled out. All the money's going to places that already have money.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Damien, our time is up. Thank you so much for being on. You told your story, and it's a really unique story, and it's really unique what you guys got going on. And we hope to have you on again. And have a great day. Thanks for being on. Happy July 4th. Hope you guys get to do something interesting.
I'm really happy that you guys, anytime, they've already done something on the tax credit too, and hopefully that's, helping some people. But, stepstorecoveryhomes.org, you can go on there. There's interviews. There's all kinds of information. And if anybody's willing to help some people in addiction, I'm willing to talk to them and mentor them if I can.
Great. Go to stepstorecoveryhomes.org, and we'll have it in the show notes. Thank you so much, Damien.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.